Welcome back to the Marine Corps Movie Minute, where we discuss the movies of the Marine Corps 1 minute at a time. I am Brian Lockhart,
And I'm Jack Perry.
and together we are breaking down Heartbreak Ridge. We've reached minute 62, and this minute begins with an ass chewing.
Yeah, pretty epic level ass chewing.
And it ends with Lieutenant Ring making a confession.
Yeah.
Well, we got the very hint of this last minute. We transitioned from a very, very angry Major Powers glaring at Gunny to a very angry Major Powers yelling at Lieutenant Rings.
Yeah.
And I think we joked he is not social distancing.
No, he's got that Joe Biden look of
He's gonna go smell his hair.
Yeah.
Although to be honest, Gunny had a little moment of that as well when he was touching everybody's hair after they got their fresh haircuts, and he's
Yeah.
sniffing and he's like, "Oh yeah." Actually, I don't know if anybody watches watches wrestling, but it reminds me of Mr. McMahon when he would be like, "Oh yeah, give it to me." Who knew that Vince McMahon was channeling Gunnery Sergeant Highway?
Yeah.
Well, let's see. He just totally starts laying into Lieutenant Ring, that Major Powers that is, just about the whole situation. He's mad. What was he saying? What was he saying to him at first? Like,
because he didn't know that Gunny was about to do this, and that he was supposed to be in charge.
oh yeah. He's you're right. And I just turned the minute up just for a second. He's not yelling at Lieutenant Ring. He's yelling at he is yelling at Lieutenant. He is yelling at Lieutenant. Oh my God, Lieutenant.
Easy, Scooby. Here's a treat.
Yelling at Lieutenant Ring. But not because of anything Lieutenant Ring did. He's yelling because of what Gunny did. And of course, in this case, shit rolls uphill.
Yeah.
He should have handled him and not let him go out on his own. Lieutenant immediately gets shut down when he tries to defend either himself or Gunny slightly by just saying, "Well, I think," and he's like, "You think too much and act too little." He's like, "You're supposed to be an officer. Look that up in your platoon leader's handbook."
Yeah.
Which again, we talked about how by the book he is.
Yep. Yeah.
Okay, well, bear with me while I was going to look up officer definition.
Are you looking it up in the platoon leader's handbook?
If I had one, I would totally look it up.
Yeah.
So, according to the dictionary, an officer is a person holding a position of command or authority in the armed services, in the merchant marine, or on a passenger ship. A holder of public, civil, or I'm not even going to pretend to say this word and it's a verb. Provide with military officers. That doesn't make any sense, but okay. Oh, officering the army. I see. When you use it in a word, it makes more sense. Oh, when you go, I guess for the second definition, when it mentions a holder of public or civil office, it's like a probation officer they use as an example. But we are specifically talking more about, the military, because this is a military movie.
Yep.
Actually, the term derives from the late Latin from officiaris, meaning official.
Yeah. Person of power.
Yeah. And I'm not going to go through the ranks of military officers.
Oh yeah, that'd be boring enough.
But Lieutenant Ring is low man on the totem pole.
Yeah.
Now I couldn't find the Marine platoon leader handbook, but I did find the Marine Troop Leader's Guide from March 1995. Oh, this is kind of around our time frame. Yeah. The original date was dated 1979, so it would have covered Gunny's times.
Yep.
Let's see. I couldn't find any definition of what an officer is, so I don't know if it's maybe I'm looking at the wrong guide, or if Major Powers is just talking out of his ass.
Yeah. I imagine he's probably doing a little bit of both. Plus, too, we got to think, this was the script originally was for an army movie, so we probably wouldn't even find any kind of Marine documents because the Marine Corps got to have all their own stuff.
Yeah, true. Who knows?
Yeah,
Just while he's getting in his face, I do notice in the background there's a lot of his football pictures. I think we've talked about it before, but they're very much in frame
yeah,
and in focus. You can see them.
yep. Big time football hero.
Yeah, exactly. So, I mean, he immediately turns his attention to Gunny and starts tearing into him. You did it
Yeah,
on your own, didn't you?
yeah, yeah,
Which, in a way, he did.
yeah.
And we'll get to the, but he did do it on his own. It was his decision to not have Recon die in a loud, grotesque military fashion, as Major Powers would have
Mhm.
preferred.
Oh yeah, yeah. Yeah, he made him yeah, he's he just wasn't playing. He's like, "Yeah, wait, I didn't you didn't go to this combat exercise with my game plan in mind to make me look good. Do what I say."
Right. I think though that if this guy was reasonable, he would have seen what Gunny did and it was okay, it makes sense.
Mhm,
Now, I also think that this is another reason why maybe the Marines don't care for this movie, especially, like it doesn't highlight the Marines in a good light because not only, I mean, this makes them look completely inept when it comes to how to do well, not how to do an ambush because obviously Gunny did the ambush correctly. It was like their response to an ambush. This officer thinking that that's how ambushes are supposed to work. You know when and where it happens and how to,
yeah,
uh,
exactly.
and the fact that now he's tearing into the guys that actually they're the ones doing their job correctly.
Yeah.
But of course, sorry, were you going to say something?
Oh, no, no, well, yeah, I was always gonna say something, but no, go ahead, continue.
Well, I was just going to say like but again, if you kinda look at it this way too, though, that's the point of the movie. This guy is out of his league or out of his depths or,
Yeah.
he's not fit for command here, and he keeps demonstrating it over and over and over again, and I'm speculating because I know the movie. So so that he will continue to make these kind of mistakes,
Yeah.
especially since he doesn't recognize that his staff NCOs who have been in these situations before
Mhm.
he's not taking any sort of advice or leadership or direction or anything from input, anything from
Yep.
them. It's his way or the highway, and not time highway.
Yeah. Well, when Gunny says you go to combat tomorrow, you'll plant half these men. You kind of see the realization dawning on his face. He's like, shit. But then he grabs onto it, but just long enough to realize it. Like, well, yeah, this still isn't going to work though. Then he goes to his desk and picks up the phone. He's gonna, like this is it. This is his opportunity.
Yeah, but
Get him out.
but you know what that reminds me of? That reminds me of like when I'm like, I'm gonna turn off the internet if you don't turn off your thing in three, two, one. Oh, look, I didn't have to turn the internet off, or I'll count to three one more time.
Yeah.
Like, if Major Powers is picking up the phone, he's like waiting, like. Well, but here we go. This is where we start to gain like respect for Lieutenant Ring. He's not this he is a dweeb. Like he's a little, but he's got character. He's
Hmm.
got some fortitude.
Yep. We got more backbone than Major Powers.
Oh, for sure. Like he's Gunny gave him a pass. I put in my notes, my very few sparse notes. Twice he has an opportunity to throw Lieutenant Ring under the bus, and he never does. He said, "When you did it on your own, didn't you?" And Gunny's response was, "Well, I got permission." No, he said, "I can't. If I don't know what's broken, I can't fix it."
Yep.
So that's number one. And then I think there was another point later on when he says something else, and he's like, "If we go to war, we'll plant, whatever." So he basically says, "You've given me your opportunity," and he kind of says the same general thing again. I forget exactly what he says in response.
Yep.
But once again, in fact, I'm actually just at this scene right now, so let me see what he says.
The funny thing is, though, we not whole, not to this degree, but we did serve with some officers that were kind of like this, where they favored one group over another, and the other ones were, like one group was treated better than
I think
then.
we've touched yeah, we touched on that because and I don't always think it was necessarily intentional, especially the higher up you went. I don't always think it was, intentional, but it was definitely, like, divine like, we had 2 different MOSs under one
Mhm.
basically 2. I mean, there was a few random people here and there with other jobs, but there was us versus them, basically.
Yeah.
At the lower levels, we got along with most of those guys, a lot of them were our friends.
A lot of them, yeah, not all of
Yeah.
them.
Right. Well, true. I mean, but that's like anything. I mean, there's guys in our MOS that I didn't like, but
Mm.
or just, friendly but not friends.
Mhm.
But all of our higher ranking individuals in command were the other MOS, and you could see the favoritism that would happen from time to time.
Yeah.
Um, in fact, I there was one of the colonels actually. This is he had been there early and he left, and I had worked
Oh, yeah, I
for him
remember.
and with him. Oh, it's funny because I actually wanted to bring him up anyways about something completely unrelated,
Uh,
but so now I got 2 stories. I mean, basically, long story short, the guy left, became a full bird, was up at I believe at the Pentagon, and this was like a couple years later. I was about to get out. In fact, I think I think I might have already had a job lined up. Like that's how soon I was getting out.
yeah.
And he called me. No, he didn't call me. He called the colonel. The colonel was gone for the day. It was like a Friday. I think I was on duty. It was like 5 o'clock. It was just past 5:30, something like that. And he called me. And well, again, he didn't call me, but he remembered me.
Yeah.
I picked up the phone and he's blah blah blah. We're having a conversation, a little bit. Where's the colonel? Ah, he's gone for the day, sir. Well, Corporal Lockhart, because I was a corporal at the time. I think you and I are the only 2 in the Marine Corps still working on a Friday. And I said, I think so, sir. He was kind of busting my balls, I think, a little bit. This guy, he was I always
Yeah, I
likened
know.
him. Yeah, he was a hard ass, but
Yeah.
I was always likened him to tough but fair. I will guarantee there were some people that would argue with me on that and say he was just an asshole. My interactions with him were different, and that's actually where I was going to get to the other story. Anyways, long story short, too late. He
You beat me to it.
he was also of that other MOS, and I was just he was asking me, "What do you got going on?" Blah blah blah, and I told him,
Mhm.
"Yeah, I got this lined up," and he basically his gist was, "Yeah, I always thought you were too smart for that MOS. Like, you there was more to you than that, or something like that." Which, coming from this guy, was a huge compliment.
Yeah.
But it was also with a grain of salt because he thought so little of our
Yeah.
MOS. I
Yeah.
mean, that's why I say, like, if you ask any of our other guys, they will probably tell you, yeah, he thought we were just the worst and the unnecessary and just everything.
Yeah.
So that being said, that it is what it is. So yeah, that definitely happens. Now, since I'm already kind of rambling about him, you know how he's Major Powers is yelling at both Gunny and Lieutenant Ring. This guy would not yell at, I think it was sergeant and below.
Really?
No, he got terse. He was firm, but he wouldn't yell. He wouldn't like tear into you.
Hmm.
You were a staff sergeant. I mean, I think sergeants got a pass. You were a staff NCO or above, all bets were off.
Oh, wow.
I specifically remember hearing yelling one time because I heard him, "Where's my fat little gunnery sergeant?"
Yeah, I remember hearing about that.
Because we had a gunny that was short and he had a belly and he was kind of soft spoken. He was a nice guy, but I don't think the colonel liked him at all. And the gunny was our MOS, and I don't think he liked him at all. And just that was the funniest damn thing. Where's
Yeah.
my fat little gunnery sergeant?
Yeah.
And I've seen him tear into like I had to stand before him one time just because him and I used to have some run-ins isn't the right word, but I was this boot ass Lance Corporal, and I just kept having incidences and scenarios and run-ins with I get again, run-ins not the right word, but I would just say like just random shit just kept happening. Some of it my fault, some of it just circumstantial.
Yeah, you just wrong place, wrong time.
Yeah, kinda. And And what? Because I remember one day he came in, and it was just me, him, and I, and we were talking about something, and he's like, "Hey, Lance Corporal Lockhart, do you ever think you and I will get on the same page?" I said, "I hope so, sir." He's like, "Yeah, so do I. So do I. All right, have a good night." And he left. We did, we did. We like, I worked directly for him. When he left, he had decent things to say to me, and I think not to just fucking have this podcast to be all about me, but I think I think because of our run-ins a few times, I said the right things maybe, and it kind of won his earned his respect a little bit.
Yeah.
And I think he realized, oh, this poor guy, he's just a fucking idiot. He can't help it. Anyways, enough about me. Let's get back to the minute. So actually, I was kind of telling it out of order. So when Major Powers first, opportunity number one, where he could have Gunny could have thrown Lieutenant Ring under the bus, is
Mhm.
when he basically said, "Well, I need to know, like, basically evaluate his men." And he said something about his men, and
Yeah.
Powers does not like that. He said, "No, they're the U.S. Marine Corps men, Second Division's men, the Eighth Marine Regiment's men. As a matter of fact, they're my men, and so are you, Gunnery Sergeant."
Yeah.
In that logic, yes, Gunny is his man, but if you keep going down through the list of that means that they're Gunny's men too, because you
Yep.
know.
That is also correct. That's how the chain of command works.
Right. Also, he left out God first, country next, then Corps. So,
Marine Corps, yeah. Yeah, they're
Corps
God's
third.
men. They're the country's men.
Exactly.
And the bases in California is California's men.
Yeah. So really, he's barely middle management here,
Yeah.
Major Powers at this point.
Yeah, yeah. He's the assistant to the assistant manager.
Exactly. And then and then the next time is when he said, "Well, if I don't know what's broken, I can't fix it."
Yep.
But that's when he is resound, and he's like, "You did on your own." And he picks up the phone. He's gonna make a phone call. He's gonna start whatever charges or admin thing he needs to do to run him out.
Yep.
I guess he can't UCMJ a Gunny. It would have to be a court martial, wouldn't it? He'd have to file paperwork.
I don't know. I never made it that high.
Now, somebody smarter than us let us know, but I don't think you can just office hours a Gunny like that. I think you have to do, but still, he could do the proper paperwork to get him up on whatever he needs to do.
Yeah. Yeah. Get him out.
And that's where Lieutenant Ring basically just comes up and he said, "I gave Gunny permission." Yeah, and then that's kind of basically where the minute ends.
Yeah. Yeah, this is where you really start to see with Lieutenant Ring about how much fortitude he's got. Like he might be, young but then eager, but like he's decent and he's not a coward.
Yeah, he could have kept his mouth shut and not
Yep.
and let Gunny take the fall.
Yep.
But he said, "Look, no, I mean, Gunny didn't do it on his own, and he told the truth. I gave him permission to freelance. Boom, that was it. That's the end of the minute."
Yep.
So, that being said, you got anything else you want to talk about this minute?
No, no, I don't. Not this minute.
No, because we'll next minute there'll be more ass chewing in this office, basically. Well, so what? Last week or a couple weeks ago, we had the Profile trilogy.
Yeah.
Now we have the Office Hours trilogy.
Yeah. Yeah.
What is this? The Office, Camp Pendleton.
Yeah. Yeah.
I can just hear the Office music now as he picks up the phone.
I know this makes me kind of an asshole, but I've never seen that show.
I will say I think you're missing out, especially if you've ever worked in an office. You'll appreciate it.
Yeah, I need to. It's on my list of things to do at some point.
I will give you this. You got it. The first season it's only 6 episodes. It's funny, but it gets better.
Okay. I know it's like highly regarded, and
Yeah,
I just had never seen it.
I bailed well before it ended,
Mm,
and I've heard that was probably a wise choice. But those like five, I'm kind of just guessing. I don't remember how many seasons are, but at least 5 good seasons.
yeah.
6 seasons maybe. They're worth it.
Okay. Cool. Yeah, I'll
2 minute
check it out.
Office minute where we break down each episode. No, just kidding. Yeah, you should check it out.
Cool.
Well, on that note, Perry, you're supposed to be a podcast host. You think too little and podcast too less. Why don't you look up in the Marine Corps Movie Minute Handbook what that means? Welcome back to the Marine Corps Movie Minute. You're not welcome back.
Say what?
Hopefully there's not a lot of background right now because I hear some children yelling at other children on Xbox Live right now.
Oh,
So
that would be awesome. You hear
yeah.
gunshots, just screaming.
Is this from the movie?
Yeah, no,
No.
I have children.
Say what? Let me just click on this and get a virus on my computer.
Yeah.
Say what? I'm going to run you out of the... No, that's actually next minute. Say what? Listen here, you egotistical son of a bitch. This is the Marine Corps Movie Minute, which makes it our podcast, which makes you my podcast host. You get that, Marine? I don't know, man.
Swing and a miss.
Let's see. Okay, well, let's keep going on.
No. Come on, man. Come on.
I got a better one.